Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. USDA is proposing a new rule when it comes to meat labeled as a product of the USA. Under the new requirements, the labels would be allowed on meat, poultry, or eggs only if they come from animals born, raised, slaughtered, and processed here in the United States. Now, that's a big change from the current policy, which allows the voluntary use of the labels on products from animals that are raised elsewhere and then shipped here for processing. The current Product of USA standard has governed labeling since Congress voted back in December of 2015 to exempt beef and pork from mandatory country of origin labeling laws. Mexico and Canada successfully challenged the mandatory labeling law as a trade restriction on its cattle and hog producers before the World Trade Organization. Now, Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack discussing the new proposed rule while speaking to the National Farmers Union Convention.
This label is currently assessed on products if they're processed in the U.S., which means they could be born someplace, they could be slaughtered someplace, they could be raised someplace else, but not in the U.S., and still get this label. The proposed rule that we're putting out today would say, if you want to use this label, or you want to made in the USA label for beef, poultry, processed eggs, pork, you can only do it if the critter was raised here, born here, raised here, slaughtered here, and processed here.
It's reported imported beef accounts for about 12% of the total consumed here in the U.S. The new proposed rule would also be voluntary. A reaction to that proposal so far is mixed, with support coming from consumer advocates and the U.S. Cattlemen's Association, which had petitioned USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service back in 2019 over the rule. But the National Cattlemen's Beef Association says, quote, simply adding born, raised, and harvested requirements to an already broken label will fail to deliver additional value to cattle producers, and it will undercut true voluntary market-driven labels that benefit cattle producers. Now, we cannot afford to replace one flawed government label with another flawed government label. The Meat Institute warning the latest proposed rules are likely to result in trade retaliation from Canada and Mexico and could cost American consumers and businesses billions of dollars, adding, quote, the proposed voluntary Product of the USA label will have a discriminatory effect, causing meat packers and processors who wish to make the claim to segregate cattle, hogs, and meat from other nations, end quote.